Oh, looking back in hindsight, what I put myself through in my 40 years nearly as a JW. In the organisation I gave public talks, right? There came a time in my life where I was working night and day, like 16 hours a day, to support my wife with her cars, etc. And I was getting worn out, so I started smoking a few cigars, and someone, a JW, saw me. That was my son, by the way, who's still a JW. So I went to this judicial committee, the Spanish Inquisition. There were 3 dudes there. One was an ex-policeman, ex-copper, right? He said to me, "Alan, how many cigars have you smoked?" I said, "Well, a couple a day." He said, "Do you realize that is worse than committing one sin of adultery?" Ex-copper. I sort of didn't reply to that. Imagine going to a court, a divorce case, and the wife says to the judge, "Well, I no longer want to be with my husband because he smokes cigars." The next judicial I faced was this. My daughter, Cora, got disfellowshipped because she had an affair with Mark Latham. You might know her channel, Mark and Cora. And I was taking them out to concerts. The elders didn't know about this. What I did, I sat in the hall with them, with my granddaughter Charlotte. I got dragged into a judicial for sitting with disfellowshipped people. All I was doing was sitting with them to give them humanitarian moral support, and the elders on the platform were eyeing me, daggers. And my last judicial was for smoking again. But I clawed my way back into the watchtower 3 years ago. Went through the humiliation of sitting at the back of the hall like a leper, and then once you're reinstated, 3 months before you can speak up in the watchtower. I thought, Alan, looking back in hindsight, what a sham. I resigned when my daughter started showing me, because she came out of the watchtower 3 months before me, these XJW YouTubes. And then she gave me Raymond Francis' books, and I read Raymond Francis' books twice. Crisis of Conscience, In Search of Christian Freedom, which are now available on audio. Check my playlists. I can't believe I went through this Spanish Inquisition with 3 elders. What right have they got to do to take you into a back room, to inquisition you? Now here's the hoot, here's the big hoot. On one of my judicials for smoking, there were 3 elders. A week later, one of those elders was removed because he was having an affair with a woman. Right? These men are not appointed by Holy Spirit. They're a kangaroo court. You see, in the 1st century, in Corinthians, there was only one occasion where a guy was having an affair with his father's wife. It was like incest. That was broadcast to the whole congregation. It wasn't in a back room situation. It was broadcast to the whole congregation. That's why Paul wrote in his next letter, you must forgive him now. There's no secret kangaroo court. never was in the first century. And how many people, I guess you can relate to this, have you been dragged into this kangaroo court with 3 or more elders judging you? Like I said, one particular judicial I faced for smoking, all those 3 elders were on Prozac. I know that. I know that for a fact. And they dare judge me. I'm not advocating smoking, by the way, but I'm just saying the correlation, it's stupid. They take Prozac and they dare judge you for smoking a few cigars. Get real. Paul says, who are you to judge your brother? The Spanish Inquisition. Now here's another case which I'll come on to now. Another kangaroo court I faced. I'll try to put this in a few words. When I changed congregations with my wife, we were both pioneers to support the local congregation. There were 3 congregations in this town who needed support. We went and joined this congregation, and I met this sister who was the only one supporting the midweek groups. She was a pioneer. Now, because I had a car at that time, I said, no, you can't walk to groups. We used to walk miles and miles. I said, I'm going to pick you up and take you to the groups. Now, she faced a kangaroo court of 5 elders. 5, because she was placing too many magazines and calling on the back calls, return visits of the elders' wives, the elderettes. That's all she did wrong. And I supported her big time. Big time. In fact, I gave a number 4 talk, deliberately, praising her. I didn't name her in my number 4 talk. I said, isn't it wonderful that my wife and I come to this congregation, and there's this wonderful sister who's taking the maps to the groups when elders don't support it. I could see the daggers in the congregation, the elders' wives. I got took into the back room after number 4 talk, and they told me, the presiding overseer and the school overseer, you must stop supporting this sister. I said, no deal. No deal. I was stopped from answering up because of supporting the sister. It came to the crunch where she had to leave the congregation because of persecution. So I sent her a letter called Witch Hunt, directed to her next congregation, explaining the situation, because this previous congregation removed her as a pioneer. But guess what? In a month later she was reinstated as a pioneer. I hope she's no longer a JW. I'm just telling you the situation, what goes on in this backroom kangaroo Spanish Inquisition court. They have no right to judge you. If you've got a problem, talk it through with the Father. You don't need men, scumbag men, to intercede for you. Are you watching what's going on in Australia at the moment? It's fascinating. Check my playlist, JWs in Australia. They are being exposed big time for their policies, 2 witness, crap rule, etc. There was no such thing as an Inquisition in the 1st century. Any major sin was exposed to the whole congregation. Right? You've got the stupid situation now where a paedophile is reproved from the platform. But the ordinary members of the congregation don't know why he's been reproved. Then he gets reinstated. They don't know he's a danger to the public and the congregation moreover. This Jehovah's Witness setup is a joke, a big joke. It's nothing to do with the first century arrangement. It's, in one word, the Spanish Inquisition reciprocated. If you're studying with JWs, get out quick, very quickly. Shalom.